Alright, yeah, I know, this isn't a VR game. I'm well aware and I haven't gone fully mad yet. But Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy has been the video game I wanted to talk about since about forever. In fact, some of this footage was filmed over a year ago, way before I even started the channel. With so many of us nowadays swimming in battle passes, microtransactions, day one patches, downloadable content, and always online live service junk, I think it's worth going back to a simpler time for a moment. Back when games came out of the box in a complete form. Also, it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Screw the algorithm. So today, I'm diving into Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy, as a celebration of a time when a single disc gave you a full, beautifully handcrafted world to explore. I'll walk you through the game and touch on the mechanics, the design, and the art as we go along. This means I'll be spoiling the entire thing, so heads up if you've never played this one yourself. I'll be upfront and say this is my personal favorite video game of all time ever. When I think video game, I think Jak and Daxter. And if you enjoy this one, I would absolutely love to cover Jak 2, Jak 3, and even Jak X down the line. Maybe Daxter 2. You'll have to put a gun to my head to admit the existence of the Lost Frontier though. Do let me know if you'd like to see me take on the entire series. Also, don't worry, the virtual reality content isn't going anywhere. I just needed to take this little trip back to where it all started. So with all of that out of the way, I'd like to welcome you to Fixed Thoughts on Videogames, where we sometimes take a break from VR gaming to take a trip down nostalgia lane. Let's turn the clock back to 2001. Nowadays known for the swashbuckling adventures in Uncharted or the melodrama of the zombie apocalypse in The Last of Us, developer Naughty Dog's first big success came with a goofy platforming series called Crash Bandicoot, back in the PlayStation 1 days. For the PlayStation 2, they saw an opportunity to do something new as the team was getting burned out with the Crash series, to craft a world that was simply impossible before. They came up with the idea of a seamless 3D world without loading screens. This was before GTA 3 even existed. Originally envisioned as having a cast of 3 main characters, they decided to cut it back to just 2. Our mute protagonist Jak, with Daxter being a jovial sidekick who verbally and outrageously responds to the world around them.
Hey baby, what do you say you and I go cruising on this A-Grav Zoomer?
Rule number 1, I don't date animals.
So the team grew in size to take on this new challenge, especially the animation department, with Naughty Dog even recruiting from Disney and Nickelodeon. 50 minutes of fully voiced cutscenes were created, insanity for a time where most games were still using grunts and subtitles. For the art style, the designs took inspiration from both Western and Eastern aesthetics, creating a world that feels entirely unique. And they also drew in some pretty big names to do the voice acting. Max Casella from The Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire fame, who lends his voice to Daxter, as well as Twisted Sister's lead singer Dee Snider playing the antagonist Goal. Crazy. Let's take a look at what the result of all their hard labor looks like, opening up with the game's starting cutscene.
I have spent my life searching for the answers that my father and my father's fathers failed to find. Who were the precursors? Why did they create the vast monoliths that litter our planet? How did they harness eco, the life energy of the world? What was their purpose? And why did they vanish? I have asked the plants, but they do not remember. The plants have asked the rocks, but the rocks do not recall. Even the rocks do not recall. Every bone in my body tells me that the answers rest on the shoulders of a young boy. Oblivious to his destiny, uninterested in the search for truth, and rejecting of my guidance. And why would he want to listen to old Samus the Sage anyway? I'm only the master of green eco. one of the wisest men on the planet. So it seems the answer begins not with careful research or sensible thinking. Nay, as with many of fate's mysteries, it begins with but a small act of disobedience.
Hey! Jak, old green stuff told us not to come here.
Continue your search for artifacts and eco. If the locals possess precursor items, you know what to do.
Deal harshly with anybody who strays from the village. We will attack it in due time.
What are we doing here anyway, Jak? This place gives me the creeps. Huh? Oh, stupid precursor junk. Eek! What is that dark ooze? It sure don't look friendly. The sage yaps on about the precursors that built this place all the time. Where did they go? Why did they build this crud? Now, I like precursor orbs and power cells as much as the next guy. But if you ask me, they must have been real losers. Wow! How did you do that? Jak, I think we're in trouble! Man, that stung! I told you we shouldn't have come here, and you listened! What? Okay. I'm fine.
What in green tarnation do you two want?
I was...
Don't tell me! Instead of heeding my wisdom, the two of you went mucking around in the only place that I told you not to go. Misty Island.
That's right, and then...
And, Daxter, you finally took a much-needed bath, but in a bathtub filled with dark eco.
Look, old man, are you gonna keep yapping, or are you gonna help me out of this mess?
I'm gonna keep yapping, because in my professional opinion, the change is an improvement. And besides, I couldn't help you if I wanted to.
What?
There's only one person who has studied Dark Eco long enough to have a chance at returning you to your previous form. Carl Acheron, the Sage. But he lives far to the north. Far, far to the north. Nobody has spoken to him in ages. I would teleport you there, but I can't do that either. None of the three sages that maintain the other teleporter gates have seen fit to turn their ends on for quite a while. The only other way north is by foot through the Fire Canyon, but its volcanic soil is hot enough to melt precursor metal. You can't just walk through it.
But you could fly over it if you had a zoomer equipped with a heat shield. I just happen to be working on such a thing at this very moment. All I would need is 20 power cells to give it enough energy to withstand the canyon's heat. Isn't that right, Daddy?
Yes, Kira, that might work. But where are a boy and a half going to get 20 power cells?
From the villagers. Most of them have a power cell or two stashed away somewhere. And even if they aren't willing to just give them away, greasing their palms with a few precursor orbs should do the trick. And I bet there are even more of them out in the wilds just waiting for some brave adventurer to find.
Well, we've got the brave adventurer at least.
Brave adventurer? You two couldn't find your way out of the village without training. Before you do anything else, you better go through the warp gate and get some practice on Geyser Rock.
We won't find any more of that dark gooey eco stuff, will we? 'Cause I'd hate to fall in again and turn into you.
Get in there before I turn you both into ferns!
I can quote Samus's words from memory by now, I think. I love how this introduction draws you in with the melodrama, only to flip it on its hat midway through. The world and most of its main cast are set up beautifully, with a hint of mystery to this strange place that'll fuel your motivation to explore it in a few moments' time. The mission is simple. Head out into the world to find a sage named Gol, who might be able to reverse the effects of the dark eco that caused Daxter's transformation. After the cutscene ends, we're dropped off on the small island of Geyser Rock, where we can get to grips with controlling Jak and this strange new world we find ourselves in. First, just check out how clean the UI is. There is nothing distracting you from taking in the world in full, with the interface and heads-up display elements only appearing when they need to. Like, for example, only showing your health whenever you take a hit. You can bring up all the stats and data at once by pressing a button, but otherwise the screen is mostly free from clutter. No daily quests, no promotional pop-ups, no missable events. It's just you and the game. Second, just watch how Jak moves about. When designing a 3D world, movement mechanics are so incredibly important. Super Mario 64 had already figured this out a few years prior, and I can't help but feel like Naughty Dog took a few hints from Nintendo while designing their own system. There is a weight to Jak, a slight acceleration before you hit your maximum speed. All of his moves, whether they're jumps or attacks, all flow into one another. It's seamless, with every button press setting up the next. I love the squash and stretch effects in the animations, making all his actions more dynamic and visually interesting. Once you get the grips with it, it fits like a glove. Just moving through this world is fun in itself. Eventually, you'll start to see that your more advanced moves will actually give you more heights or distance to play with. A spin kick is a good defensive attack, but it also serves to give you some extra airtime after a double jump. Listen to it as well. The soundtrack with its percussive beats is so good. The sound design adds even more charm to it all, giving not only flavor, but also cues for the player, as you can often find things by listening for the unique sounds. Third, this game is freaking gorgeous, man. Even after almost 25 years. Graphical quality fades over time, but a proper art style will always look good. It's so colorful, so exotic. These first levels always seem like the setting of a tropical holiday to me. Later titles in the series will be a lot more drab and gray, so the bursts of bright color only help to fuel my nostalgia for this one. And check out these animations whenever you grab a power cell. I'll never get tired of these. For being a tutorial level in 2001, I can't find many faults in it. You learn by doing. The ecosystem that allows for temporal power-ups is brought into play almost straight away, and you're immediately off collecting goodies to use down the line. It's snappy, it's not too long, and it already shows you exactly the tone and feel this adventure is going to be, and what you'll be doing to progress it. So what will you be doing? Well, the Precursor Legacy is at its core a 3D adventure game with a focus on collecting different types of MacGuffins to further the plot. So, a collective on them. These were all the rage before Grand Theft Auto 3 released and changed the market forever, but there are still some releases today that fall under this genre. Super Mario Odyssey, Psychonauts 2 and A Hat in Time are all relatively new examples. I'm not old, be quiet you. The two main objects to collect are Precursor Orbs, of which there are 2,000 in total in this game, and Power Cells, of which there are 101 in total. Power Cells will primarily be used as a means of gating. Collecting a certain amount will allow you to travel further and further. You don't have to get them all to beat the story, but you are rewarded with a slight extra if you manage to get each and every collectible. And of course, a shiny platinum trophy if you're playing on the PlayStation 3, 4 or 5 ports. So we snack everything we can from Geyser Rock and head back to the game's first town, a place I lived in for quite a few hours as a kid, Sandover Village. Sandover Village takes all the charm from Geyser Rock and turns it up to 11. This rural town on the coast just oozes with a certain laid-back tranquility. It's one of those video game places I wish existed on Earth somewhere. It feels, in one word, homely. From this point on, the game takes off the training wheels and we are free to go wherever we please and take on any challenge we see fit. Exploring the village, we meet a bunch of quirky characters. Some will trade in Precursor orbs for a power cell, while others need something done in the world before handing one out as a reward. The mayor wants to be re-elected, so he asks us to fix the town's power supply by heading into a forbidden jungle. The local sculptor has lost his muse somewhere on an island teeming with dangerous lurkers and can't create art without her. The bird keeper needs a hand with a rare egg, the farmer needs his herd to be corralled, and our green sage Seamus needs a hand with the green eco vents on the beach beside the village. Setting the first quests up this way adds so much character, so much flavor to this world. All of them are interesting in their own rights, and helping the locals out also helps the player to connect with this world emotionally. Once again, there's no quest lists or XP to be gained here, no additional fluff. You just do the thing because you want to. All rewards just lead to more power cells, after which you can do more stuff, which is rewarded with more power cells, and so on and so on. 4 different areas are connected to this village. To the west lies Sentinel Beach. To the east is the Forbidden Jungle. The Southern Sea holds the Misty Island, while to the north lies the Fire Canyon. Getting across the Fire Canyon is our first main objective. We'll need a great deal of power cells for a heat shield which is attached to an anti-gravity bike, so we can cross the lava and the fire pits. You know, as one does. So let's help out the townsfolk and snag everything that's not nailed down. We'll head towards Sentinel Beach first. No cuts, no loading screens as we change areas. I know we kind of take this for granted nowadays, but this was mind-boggling 25 years ago. I was too young to point this out then, but the game just felt like it floats better than other titles and was thus able to hold my attention better. The same is true for whenever you mess up and die. You're put back into the action almost immediately, enticing you to give it another go right now. No loading screens means no break in the action. No black screen that reflects your aging face back at you. No pauses for your mind to wander into the dark abyss. I want to feel immersed in a video game experience and resent those things that scratch or shatter the immersion. Jak and Daxter is engaging at every opportunity until you put down the controller. Sentinel Beach is our first proper level. The scope of the design, the mechanics and the environment will be telling for the remainder of the levels. One thing to note straight away is the freedom and the open-endedness that is found in this game, with Sentinel Beach being a perfect example. This game isn't considered an open world game, but technically comes pretty close. You can seamlessly run from one end of the world to the other. The prominent set pieces of the many places you visit in this world, or weenies as I just love calling them, are visible from afar if you can manage to get yourself up high enough to get a lay of the land. Levels themselves usually only have one entrance and exit, which kind of breaks that philosophy of open-endedness. However, what helps to bring the immersion back into place is the many natural ways that levels are blocked off. You have the usual literal walls like sheer cliff faces or steep mountains. Sometimes there's an endless pit that'll stop you from traveling too far out of bounds. The third way is by far the most creative. When entering a body of water, if you swim out too far, you'll hear this ominous heartbeat, signaling you to turn back. Fail to do so, and a giant monster fish will eat you alive. Hardcore, man. These things scared the crap out of me when I was 6. All of these natural barriers help enforce that this world is bigger than it appears to be, while maintaining a technical, workable scope to the levels. It's beautiful and puts to shame those games that still use those stupid invisible walls that are, to me, an easy way out of blocking a player's movement range organically. Jak and Daxter's world was big enough to feel real, yet small enough to be designed. Modern open world games still struggle with this balance. Sentinel Beach holds some dangers, such as the monsters or lurkers roaming about. Except for the monsterfish, however, there aren't any environmental dangers to be aware of. Dropping off of a cliff or ledge means falling into the sea or onto the beach, keeping you in play. The game incentivizes us to explore, with some power cells just lying about for us to find. We help the bird keeper hatch the egg on the cliff and clear out the green eco fence for Samus. We also come across these fences that appear out of order, with some of the collectibles out of reach. Nothing to do but leave that for now and move on. Let's be naughty boys in a Naughty Dog game and head off towards the Forbidden Jungle. The jungle seems much less hospitable than the previous places. The eerie steel drums echoing in the background music makes this place feel even more ominous. There are much more lurkers about, as well as natural predators like snakes and piranha. It's so easy to get lost here on your first go, but the level actually wraps around itself with the ancient Precursor temple in its center. We repair the power supply before entering the temple, where we activate a blue eco machine. Remember those broken vents we found on the beach? These have now sprung back into action, allowing us to get the stuff we weren't able to the first time around. New sections of the temple have also opened up. The levels are often connected in some way like this, with actions done in one place affecting things someplace else as well. The eco vents will come up again, as well as that bird we hatched with the bird keeper lady. I love this design choice of a lock and a key. It's very reminiscent of The Legend of Zelda back before Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. The jungle also houses a minigame, one of my favorites in the game. Minigames, arena fights, and alternate movement mechanics will pop up from time to time to keep things spicy. This one involves catching 200 pounds of fish while avoiding the poisonous eels. It's simple, it's short, it's fun, and I just love that fisherman character.
You did it! You caught 200 pounds of fish! Not bad for a couple of landlubbers.
In return for our help, he grants us use of his fishing boat, which can take us to Misty Island. We also have a boss battle here, one of a few in the game. This one is relatively simple. Defeat the minions, strike the bulb, repeat 3 times. Also, don't forget to hop on the bulb a few times after the fight has ended to find a few hidden orbs. Finishing up here, we backtrack to Sentinel Beach to clean that place out too. So after getting that done, we take the fisherman's boat back to that dreaded isle, Misty Island. If the Forbidden Jungle felt inhospitable, this area feels outright threatening. Misty Island is a barren rock that houses a large number of lurkers. Although we don't get much backstory on these creatures in this entry, it can be assumed that they're relatively intelligent. They wear clothing or armor, create devices and mechanical contraptions, and are even seen driving vehicles. We're in their home base, the same place where this whole mess started. Let's tread carefully. The sculpture's muse can be found roaming about the enormous skeletons here. It's quite a hassle to catch this fast little bastard. Even after doing it 10 times before, I still struggled to do it quickly this time around. But with that cat in the bag, we delve further in. An anti-gravity bike or zoomer is found by a harbor. This serves as the perfect training area to get the grips with its unique characteristics. Naturally, the thing feels a bit floaty, but you'll get the hang of it by the end of your time here. Good practice, because we'll need these skills later on. After returning to the same spot where Daxter had his transformation, we enter our first arena fight. The doors close and we're assaulted by a barrage of enemies closing in on us. The objective is simple: punch, kick, and pound your way out of trouble. The red eco that's found on this island will definitely help too, as it powers up Jak's offensive capabilities, allowing him to take down foes in just one blow. The Precursor legacy knows that all-out combat isn't its strong suit, so it keeps these arena fights to a minimum and ensures they're short and sweet as well. After dealing with that problem, we scour the remaining parts of the island for power cells and precursor orbs. With everything scraped clean, we return to Sandover village, finish up the remaining quests there, and head out to Fire Canyon. Now that we have collected the necessary amount of power cells, we're now able to cross the canyon and reach the village beyond. Our mechanic Kira informs us that the heat shield won't keep us safe forever, so we'll have to move quickly to keep our zoomer from overheating. It's essentially a race to the finish, although there's still collectibles to be found here. Hitting the balloons will cool you off just as getting airtime does by hitting the jumps. Every future hub will be followed by a vehicle section such as this one. Although vehicles became much more prominent in future installments of the series, the bones of those future features were already in place right here. This section is pretty intense, what with having a timer active the whole way through, the alarm noises whenever the bike gets too hot, and the red heat of the fire filling most of the screen. It's also a good break from all the platforming. Another spot of beauty from this game's design comes to light right here. You can return to the previous areas at will, and no collectible will become unavailable at any point. All the tools and setups are given to see the player not just finish the game, but complete it entirely without needing external sources like guides or walkthroughs, at their own pace and no pressure involved. What also helps is that the amount of power cells is small enough to feel reachable, and that every single one is linked to a distinct challenge. This is no marking of an endless checklist like plenty of games are guilty of nowadays. Whether you're a trophy hunter or if you just enjoy scraping every little bit out of the barrel, this game is not only easy to pick up, but also easy to complete. It begs you to without ever making you. And when you finally decide to, it gives you just enough hints and data to figure things out for yourself. It's simply lovely. We make it to the other end of the canyon, arriving in Rock Village. Sadly, things aren't looking much better here either.
Whoa! I don't think I'll ever get used to that teleporter tingling sensation. Hey! It looks like the Blue Sage threw a party.
Oh my! Rock Village is on fire!
One heck of a party.
No, I mean Rock Village is being bombarded with flaming boulders. Oh, and it looks like the Blue Sage is working on a levitation machine to move them. Assuming it's operational, we're gonna need power cells to fuel it. I guess you two are going to have to find some more.
We'd better take a look at his notes. Jak, go check on the villagers, and come back and give us an update. And take the furball with you.
The setting up till now has been presented as rather naturalistic, although it has slowly been corrupted by dark influences, albeit more subtle at first. That lurker base we found at Misty Island, the obstructed vents, the troubles in Sandover. Subtlety has gone out the window in Rock Village, however, as this place is under attack and on fire as we speak. This town feels much more dreary than the first one, with most of the housing being out of reach or destroyed. Its sage has disappeared somewhere and only a few villagers remain, giving us a few pointers where to go, just as before. We clear a few puzzles before heading towards the Precursor basin. Or is it bassin? Doesn't really matter. This level is a joy as it's fully focused on the zoomer with all kinds of creative objectives to complete. We have to herd a bunch of rodents back into their hole, chase and kill some flying lurkers, exterminate a dark eco infestation, do some ring challenges and compete in a race on top of all the usual orb and scout fly collecting. So much variety and gameplay in such a small space. Jak and Daxter knows how to be efficient with its locales. I also remember being able to access this level on foot, even though you're not supposed to and don't really gain anything from it. I made it up the hill this time, but then hit an invisible wall that I don't remember being back there on the PlayStation 2. Might just be a memory bank failure on my end though. Next up is the last Precursor city, another standout, but not before experiencing the first ever crash I had while playing this game. Jak and Daxter is pretty much bug-free and I've never seen it bite the dust like this, so that was pretty unexpected. Thankfully, this game auto-saved all the time and I only had to replay a few minutes before getting back to where I was. Because there are no loading screens, an elevator ride like this one is uninterrupted too. You sense that you're going down way too deep to an underwater Atlantis that seems impossible to be. These runes are more advanced than any technology that's available anywhere else, hinting at the majesty of those precursors that came before. Try and hold your laugh if you've played through Jak free. They aren't empty though, and the combination of tricky enemies and death floors makes this level a step more difficult than what came before. I like the cast of enemies, especially because they don't tend to overstay their welcome. Some of the foes you'll see here, you'll find nowhere else, and the same is true for the other areas. It helps give each locale its unique flavor. The level design is also getting more creative here, with many elements moving in the last Precursor city. The distances between platforms are set up in such a way as to show a clear route through a room, but they also allow more experienced players to find shortcuts by using the advanced moves. A time where player freedom wasn't stuck behind skill trees desiring your time or downloadable content desiring your money. Sometimes it really does feel like the 6th generation was the prime of video gaming. We clear the place out like we always do, going through this set piece that involves escaping from dark eco bubbling up from above. This final jump is a bit nasty because of the camera, but I managed to pull it off on the first go as we fly up and out of trouble. Now, I've done that jump a few more times and it wasn't always that successful because the camera is something that's a bit lackluster compared to today's standards. It's rigid and stiff at times, sometimes forcing perspectives that are no help at all. I can see what the developers try to do with it, an automatic camera that does allow player input, with it sometimes moving to a specific spot to highlight features in the environment or to make the game feel more two-dimensional. The problem is that the game is still controlled in 3 dimensions at those instances, and it can be hard to figure out how the game expects you to point the control stick if you can't nudge the view around. It's mostly fine, but you'll run into a few problem areas where you'll get the camera stuck into walls or have to make a partly blind jump because of its design. With our little excursion complete, we move onto a boggy swamp. That giant zeppelin has been visible from quite a distance, so let's see what that's all about. The swamp is, well, all that you would expect really. There's rats, there's loads of puke green, and the whole thing feels gloomy. Not my favorite aesthetic in this game. Also, I don't like how there's just one straight path through here with not much exploring to do. It's not bad, it's just a tad uninspired compared to the rest of Jak and Daxter. One cool addition here is the introduction of yellow eco. We can use that to shoot fireballs at our foes and destroy things in the environment. As we travel through the boggy swamp, we come across these tethers that are holding the zeppelin in its place. We throw a spanner into the lurker's plot by setting it loose, and as we do, catch a glimpse of what appears to be a giant arm sinking into the depths. Keep that precursor looking thing in mind for later. Also, that bird we hatched at Citadel Beach can be found here. Flut Flut, as he's named, can help us gather a few collectibles we wouldn't be able to without him. Very handy. The area also offers an arena fight and another minigame. This one plays out as a turret section with an unlimited supply of yellow eco to fire at the incoming flood of reds. Let's finish up and get out of here. Better places to see and to be. After leaving the swamp, we power up an eco crane with the power cells we acquired. Before we can progress any further, we'll have to deal with another boss fight. Time to take on Claw. The battle is a bit more interesting than the one we had in the Forbidden Jungle, but plays out much the same. We'll have to survive the various phases of this combat to get a chance to strike ourselves. And then do that twice over with things getting more difficult each time. We land the final blow and move on past, ending up at the mountain pass, which we'll have to cross on the zoomer. Once again, we'll have to deal with a timer. Not because of the threat of overheating, but because these lurker scouts might warn their friends down the road who have set up an ambush. Another race then. This one is less tight than Fire Canyon with a few spectacular jumps. There are endless pits to fall into, however, and these bombs that, on contact, will result in instant death. Again, the game ups the difficulty gently without going overboard. Keen eyes will also notice another closed-off vent here that we'll have to come back to later. We make it past the ambush and arrive at the Volcanic crater. I just have to mention the pair of miners here. One is a little dull and the other is a little hot-headed. Take a look at their heads. Isn't the character design in this game just fantastic? The Precursor legacy is a bit front-loaded though, in the sense that the best levels and content can be found in the first half of the game. I always found the Volcanic Cavern was missing an area. Although we had 3 locations per hub on the previous 2 occasions, here there are just 2 locations with the hub having just one single building. Also, except for that very first encounter, it kind of forgot to set up its main antagonist, so now we have to sort of awkwardly shove them in here somewhere before we get to the dramatic showdown.
Oh, fuck, I always wonder if I'm losing body parts in those things. Holy yakkow! The Red Sage's lab looks worse than the Blues.
Well, it definitely looks as though there's been a struggle here.
I'd hardly call it struggle. Would you, dear sister?
Certainly not. The Red Sage gave up with so little effort. No fun at all.
Gall? Is that you? You've finally gone off the deep end, eh? And Maya, I told you the dark eco would affect you both. Nobody ever listens to old Samos. What have you two done with the Blue and Red Sages?
Don't worry about your colorful friends, you old fool. They're perfectly safe in our Citadel. Our special guests.
They have graciously agreed to help us on a little project.
You were wrong, Samos. Dark eco can be controlled. We've learned its secrets, and now we can reshape the world to our liking.
You can't control dark eco by itself. Even the precursors.
Until now, we've had to scrape by with what little dark eco we could find near the surface. But soon, we will have access to the vast stores of dark eco hidden deep underground.
Not the silos.
Yes, the silos. close. They will be opened, and all the dark eco of the world will be ours.
But that's impossible. Only a precursor robot.
Oh, don't look so upset, Samos. We've got big plans for you.
Wait a minute! That was Gull? The same Gull who's supposed to change me back? Gull is the guy trying to kill us? I'm doomed.
We may all be doomed. If they open the silos, the Dark Eco will twist and destroy everything it touches. We simply must get to their Citadel to stop them.
The fastest way there is through the lava tube at the bottom of this crater. A few more power cells and your Zoomer's heat shield should get you across the lava safely.
All right, my boy. You know what to do. Take the flea bag and go round up more power cells.
We bring over Kira and Samos, but are also visited by Gol and Maya. These two are responsible for all the trouble caused by the lurkers lately. Samos appears to recognize Gol as the Sage of Dark Eco, but it seems the substance has altered not only his body, but also his mind. The two claim to control Dark Eco now and wish to release large quantities of it stored in vast underground silos, once put there by the Precursors. Big evil plan to destroy the world, and our unassuming protagonist will have to rise up to save the day. Yada yada. The story of this first entrance is serviceable, but doesn't try to break the mold much. Daxter realizes that the man he's been chasing to change him back is the same man that he'll need to stop. At least we have a clear target now. Make our way to the Citadel and stop Gol and Maya from accessing the Dark Eco silos. As always, we'll need some more power cells to make it there. Let's board the cable car that takes us up to Snowy Mountains. It's a rule, you know. All platformers need at least one fire level and one ice level. Snowy Mountain, despite not being very original, does end up being quite good. We're back to open spaces with multiple routes to take. A lot of things are hidden pretty well around here, so taking the time to explore really pays off here. Movement is also affected by the icy sections, making some jumps pretty tricky to pull off. The enemies that appear here will come at you non-stop, really putting the skills you've acquired over the past hours to the test. Among flying on Fluff again and infiltrating a fort, we also find a yellow eco machine, much like the one in the Forbidden Jungle. We get it working again, activating the remaining vents in the world. Next up are the spider caves. Before we delve in deep, I'm going to take some time to destroy this suspicious looking box out here in the crater. We'll need a yellow eco and speedrun movement skills to make it, but if you can get that box, you'll find a secret hidden power cell. Blew my mind as a kid. The spider caves are a bit drab and gray compared to the rest of the levels, but the gameplay remains sound. Much of the level is split between sections with specific gimmicks, and it is really easy to either get lost here or miss the entrance to a different part of the caverns. It is also filled with dark eco and many creepy crawlies. With me being an arachnophobe, I really disliked the spider caves as a kid, even though the spiders looked like this. We come across some scaffolding, which leads us to a construction site. A giant precursor robot is being worked on here by the lurkers, and it serves as the main set piece of a rather difficult set of platforming challenges. Now we know what that arm in the boggy swamp belonged to. There is a section that is super dark, where we have to slam certain crystals to shed some light for a moment. The millipedes crawling on the wooden beams have to be dealt with, and we'll have to find and detonate a series of dark eco crystals. The game just keeps adding new mechanics the whole way through, always trying to keep things interesting. We clear out the caves and finish up business in the Volcanic cavern and the mountain pass. Onto the lava tube then, where we hop on the zoomer one final time.
All right. With With these additional power cells, I should be able to supply the heat shield with enough power to stand up to this lava. But the shield still has a limit. It will now withstand temperatures up to 800 degrees, but no more. So keep an eye on your gauge. I don't want to think about what those temperatures would do to your zoomer if the shield gives out.
Yeah, the heat.
What? The Zoomer? Hey, what about us? Don't you think we could look for a safer route to Gull Citadel?
Look, I've released more cooling balloons into the tube, so you can use them to keep the temperature down. And don't forget to activate the teleport gate in the Yellow Sage's lab. We're counting on you.
Let's race. The lava tube is much like the fire canyon, both in its visuals and the return of the overheating mechanic. It is, however, much more difficult, but does include a few checkpoints so you don't have to complete the whole run in one go. As we go down these dangerous tunnels, the environment seems to consist more and more of metal and machinery, with production lines hauling vast quantities of dark eco. I especially like the roller coaster like rail sections at the end, a good final send-off to our trusty bike. As we arrive and hit the teleporter, only Kira appears before us.
Hey! Where's old Short, Drain, and Wrinkly?
This is terrible. Father is missing. I think Gall and Maya may have kidnapped him as well.
Relax, sweetheart. I got everything under control.
Under control? Lurker armies continue to grow across the land. The sages have been kidnapped. Gall and Maya have gathered enough eco to complete their terrible plan. And to stop them, you're going to have to fight your way through their citadel.
Yeah. That about sums it up.
You've got to rescue my father before it's too late. And Jak, be careful.
Yeah, we will be.
The Green Sage has been kidnapped by our two antagonists. As we enter the Great Citadel, a mismatched fort constructed from recovered Precursor parts and ancient machinery, we find all four of the sages locked up in cages. Our first task will be to save them all. Once again, we have a bit of freedom to take on this massive level as we please. All sages have their own little section leading up to us rescuing them, each focusing on their own gimmicks. And again, there are new mechanics to be found here at the final stretch of the story, like these colored platform puzzles, for example. The Citadel serves as a proper final test of your skills, with plenty of enemies and endless pits everywhere. Exploration is put to the side, however, with the focus being on action and crazy platforming sections. After saving Samus, the sages destroy the barrier, shielding the passage to the top of the structure. As we climb it, we collect our 2000th Precursor orb, the final one in the game. Time for the final showdown. We meet Gall and Maya in their Precursor robot on top of a silo. We'll have to evade all of their attacks and then counter whenever the opportunity arises while they try to bomb their way into the dark eco below us. This fight is mechanically the most interesting out of the three boss fight, with each phase being unique. It is very much a spectacle. Although the plot of the story isn't much to write home about, so much charm has been put into the setting and the environments that this game comes alive through its world. A bunch of things have been set up in the environment before we got to this point. The Precursor robot in the swamp and the spider caves. The corrupting influences of dark eco in the natural environment pretty much everywhere. And we can see the entire land we have been traveling to get here spread out below us. This world we're trying to save. It all comes together so well here, visually at least. After surviving for long enough, 4 beams of eco spout from below. Glad we saved those sages, huh? The beams come together, creating the mythical 6th variant, Light Eco. Jak uses this power to blast the robot to pieces, the hat containing Gall and Maya poetically landing in the pool of dark eco.
Well, it looks like I may have been too hard on you boys. You do have what it takes to be heroes.
But Daxter, now we can't change you back.
Don't worry about me, baby. You know what they say. Big things come in small packages.
Jak, you have an incredible talent for channeling eco. Samos, you may have been right about this one after all.
And Kira, without your help and ingenuity, none of this would have been possible. Perhaps we've found another sage now that Gaul and Maya are lost.
Yes, Gaul and Maya. The Dark Eco probably destroyed them. Probably.
Ah, who cares? Bring 'em on! We can take 'em again! Right, Jak? I said, right, Jak? Wow! Put it on ice, big guy!
Daxter might never be his old self again, but big things come in small packages, so I'm sure he'll be fine. The final cutscene leaves one final mystery though. A giant door that holds 100 slots for 100 power cells. We're still free to explore the game as much as we want from this point on, but as we have already gotten all the power cells out there, let's slot them in and see what happens.
Wow! What is it?
It's so beautiful.
By the precursors.
With that, we've come to the end of our journey. Let's take a moment to reflect. Jak and Daxter was made in a time where the market was simply different from today. You bought the finished product, played it, and that's it. No further hassle. No complete editions, day one cosmetic items, no content roadmaps. The game respects your time and your wallet. A rare thing nowadays. It was made with love, passion, and dedication by a uniquely talented team. Although the next entries veered away from its initial themes and setting, a fundamentally strong concept was brought to life here, both in visual design and gameplay mechanics. The end product is a video game that feels so consistently good for the entire duration of the experience. I've played this game from start to finish, probably 10 times over by now, and I know I'll play it again sometime in the future. It's just fun, and will still be another 25 years from now. And yeah, I know it's not VR, and it may look a little outdated at some points, but sometimes it's worth taking a step back to look at the classics and remember what we had before and why we fell in love with this art form in the first place. Because Jak and Daxter isn't just a nostalgia trip to me. Even today, I'll still recommend this gem to anyone who'll listen. Give it a chance someday, won't you? If you enjoyed this little retrospective, let me know. I'd love to cover Jak 2, Jak 3 and Jak X in the future. If you guys are up for it, those games also hold a very special place in my heart. And don't worry, I will still be covering plenty of VR games too. But this one's been a long time coming. Leave your thoughts on the Precursor legacy below because I'd love to hear from you. I can't be the only fan waiting for a reboot, right? Subscribe for more content down the line because as a small content creator on this massive platform, every single one helps a bunch. For you guys already on board, thanks so much. I really do appreciate it. This was Vic, presenting Vic's thoughts on video games. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next one.